VP people, welcome to Unfiltered Conversation Global Special Christmas Edition. I'm your host, Eric.
And I am your other host, Taylor, and we're very glad to be greeting you this December.
And we've got special guests on the show.
Oh, very special guests.
And can they introduce themselves?
They are our precursors.
My name is Cynthia Clinch, actually, Mama Taylor. I'm from Rapid City, South Dakota, in the United States.
And I'm Dr. Patrick Clinch, also get to be a parent of Taylor's, very privileged to be there, also from Rapid City, South Dakota.
I'm Pamela Nabwire Mama Eric from Kenya, Africa. I'm so glad to be here today.
That's what we are going to have. We are going to talk about Christmas, the don'ts and the do that we used to do.
And with our parents, we're getting the other generation's perspective. So we're really excited. We're going to start off with some really easy, nice questions just to kind of get the differences between not only me and Eric, Kenya and America, but also old Kenya and old America and how things were there. So we kind of want to jump in with our first kind of discussion topic is, what was the typical Christmas like when you were a kid? Like, did you travel? Did you stay home? Who came? What did you eat? All those kind of things.
Well, I guess I'll start. It was at home. My family's extended family was not close by.
Okay.
We did not open gifts Christmas Eve. We did them Christmas morning. We get up in the morning. We could not come out to see what Santa had brought us until 7 a.m.
That's where that rule came from.
That's where the rule came from, yes. We would come out, see what Santa had in our stocking, and maybe a few gifts wherever the stocking was. Then we would have breakfast, blintzes, and bacon, and of course start with grapefruit halves. Then we would go back and pass out the gifts under the tree to each person. And then we go around one by one and open one gift and go around till we were done. Then we would always have turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes,
so good.
And always pumpkin pie and pecan pie.
Telling you, she just named like the best foods in America. All in one sentence. That's what we had. So good, so good. So, if your viewers might understand, in America, a lot of Western countries, we do stockings. So we'll hang them on different parts of the furniture or by a fireplace, and then Santa comes and he will put gifts and that type of stuff into the stocking. And so when she says that's what they could open first, that was the gifts they were able to open. The other side of stuff is you buy gifts for people in your family. So as I had siblings, and so I would buy a gift for each of my siblings, and then I would attempt to buy something for my parents, but we always failed at it. So that's when she's telling you about all of the stuff, that's kind of the context of American culture, that there's kind of two sets of gift giving, that there's this stocking that's hung, usually smaller, knick-knacky type of stuff, and then there's the gifts from family.
And maybe, for me, it was a tangerine. We always got a tangerine. That was the only time of the year we got a tangerine, was in our stocking.
One time a year, Americans get tangerines, just so Kenyans know.
There's a story behind the tangerine, though. In her family, there was a story of a father who had traveled away just before Christmas and was traveling back and had no money. And the only thing he could purchase was a box of tangerines for his family for Christmas. So that Christmas, that family got tangerines. So we've kind of passed on that memory and that story by giving everybody a piece of fruit of some kind in that.
In the stocking.
In the stocking, yes.
So Mama Eric, tell us about yours.
Yeah, in African culture, especially me, I grew up in the village where Christmas was the most important day of the year. And it didn't matter how poor you are. You had to have chapatis in your house. Chapos.
Party.
And that is something that you could, first of all, like girls, whether girls, young people, we started it with our hair. Those days, there were no blow dries, but we had to improvise, an improvisation.
Yeah.
So we used to break these pots. You break up a piece of a pot, you put it on a jiko, and then you make sure you pass through your head, and we used to look lovely.
That's awesome.
We used to look so lovely. At least everything we used to have something in our own, according to your standard.
Yeah.
So from there, but though it had a consequence, whenever you could go out and it rains, all the girls would come back stinking. But it didn't matter. The day was already done.
That's right.
And the most important things we looked at in those old days, we looked at Christmas as a competition of something, what you will eat, what you will dress, and every child, however poor you'd be, you make sure you buy something new for your children. And those who could not, you find it like the most vulnerable ones, they could labor for other people just for 1 year to get at least a dress or something, a shoe or something during Christmas. But eating in Africa, you know, Africa, we are very generous people. So that day, that Christmas day, whatever you cook for unknown visitors. Anybody you knock and you see somewhere gathering, you just enter, you eat. Because mostly, like even now I see on the internet, people are told, wherever you go now, it is Christmas time, you see a tent, just get in. Because they don't know they are visitors.
Yeah, true.
They'll just think it's one of their visitors. So whenever you see just a gathering or a tent somewhere, just get in and eat, leave.
So I think in Christmas afternoon, my family has a new tradition. We're just going to drive around looking for tents.
Yes. But days have changed.
I think we might stand out a little bit though. Let's go.
And I also,
You guys are the Santas.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it like me after childhood. When I started school, I started it in Uganda. We moved there with my mom, with my 2 brothers, where we started school. And so we would look forward for that day to come, so that we go back in the village to gather all cousins from Mombasa, from Nairobi, Uganda, all over. Our grandfather made sure that we meet, we gather. And it was such a lovely moment. We enjoyed. You see people you have not seen for the whole year, the people you have not met, the newborn ones. We used to meet, he slaughter a cow or a goat. So those moments, at least you had to slaughter something. Those who have on higher standard, they could slaughter even a cow, a goat. But if you could not afford a cow or a goat, then you go for a chicken. And like you know me, I come from a Luya area where chicken is very, very valued. Chicken ingoho. Where you say, whenever you see Luya, you must know that you'll eat a chicken there.
True.
And it is the most important thing that when you come in my home, I won't cook for you. I would have cooked for you unless I give you a chicken. But I have to serve a chicken. In every culture, in every tradition, in every ceremony, chicken comes number 1. So Christmas was not left out. Chicken was the most important thing. Chicken, chapati.
The same way you guys value turkey.
Turkey. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
as it is, you know, like in Kenya, we are different cultures. But as Luyas is chicken. There are those for fish, like Luos. There are those for Kikuyus, Mukimo.
Viazi of any kind.
Yes.
In stew,
Yeah.
with soup.
Potato has to be there, waru. In everything, whether Mukimo, whether stew, it has to be there. So we have, Kenya is a diversity. Yeah, so that's how we enjoyed our Christmas, and it was a day that you really looked forward. And those are like us who grew up in Christian families. Christmas Eve, where we went to church, like my grandparents were staunch Anglican Christians, where my grandmother had made sure that every one of us had to go to Kesha to have a sleepover in church for Christmas Eve. And then those singings, where you have praise and worship, melodies, night.
All night.
Christmas,
That's what Acacia is. You go to church, you worship
God
all night.
All night.
Not like, oh, it's 8 o'clock, time to go home. Unless that 8 o'clock means 8 a.m.
And even if you love your sleep that day, you just kept it behind you. You enjoyed the day till morning, you feel good, and it is something you do once a year. So we just enjoyed it as children. We really enjoyed Christmas. And like, it is in two versions, like Christian way and cultural way. So that was the cultural way, without knowing the meaning of Christmas, as we could. In fact, there is this song that used to sing. In Swahili, we sing it Sikuku, Sikuku. But in English, it is Oh Happy Day, and Jesus Christ. So I didn't know the meaning of that song. I just knew Sikuku is a big day. So it is a big day for us to eat, look good, dress well.
In Luya, si kuku would mean there are no chickens.
No, Sikuku, a big day. Sikuku means a big day. Yes, that big day.
That was my attempt at humor for Swahili speakers. Sikuku, today is terrible.
Yes.
There's no chicken.
So Sikuku, chicken must be there. You cannot finish that day without chicken. And every home you go, those chapati chicken. It doesn't matter whether you've been eating chicken the whole year, but that day chicken must be there, chapati must be there.
So you grew in the village and you celebrated all your Christmases in the
Yes. We could only interact with, before I left the village to go and start school, we could interact with our cousins, our uncles, aunties, all of them. They could come from the cities, from all over. And those days the global was very wide. Unlike today where the world has become a village.
Yeah.
Where you can interact all over the globally.
True.
In
But
short, you're looking excited to meet the guys who are coming from
yeah,
the city.
you are not excited
Because,
anymore.
You want to listen to those stories that they're
Yeah.
going to give you about the city, those guys who are coming from different countries. So it was a very happy moment.
Yeah, and also plus, those days were no internet. We didn't know so much what was happening out there. It was only radio, and it was for very few people. Like my grandfather had a radio. He had a bike, so those were people who were well off.
So when your grandpa had the radio, would you guys gather around the radio, like as a family, to listen to things?
Yes, and that's why even up to now, lawyers are known to listen to news and to know everything that is happening around. It is enlightenment, because we could know so many things those days through the radio.
So this is what you were talking about with, if you get to Luya, married to a white person, the English will be so good. Is that what you were talking about? Like, okay, because they're so informed.
Yes.
Okay.
Because like as Luya culture, we are called watu wa Murembe, people of unity. We always, before the people used to live in like one village, surrounded by walls, where everybody was a family. And we valued your child was my child. When I meet them, I discipline. That is how we grew up. So the same thing like Christmas also, it brought us, all of us together.
Yeah.
The whole village, you enter in, you eat here, you decide to eat breakfast here, lunch there, and you are free. And nobody will ask you, and nobody will, when you just find food, you start eating. And nobody will.
So as somebody who loves to hold get-togethers, my question is, if you have 60 family members come, do they come empty-handed? Or do they come with things for the party for Christmas Day?
They came with things. They came with
Goodies.
a good foodie, rice. Those who are coming from urban areas, they could carry unga, flour for chapati. and then rice, those things that are not in the village.
Okay.
And then they will meet people from the village who have these cows, chicken, the things from the village.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll bring them together. Like even in
Fresh milk.
fresh milk. There are things you don't carry from urban, you meet them in the
Garlic
village.
eggs?
So they bring those ones from where they came from, and when they are going back, you give them chicken.
I have even seen that today.
Yes, even in
People
the
in the
buses.
Matatu holding him a chicken on the way back
Yes.
from Western.
Very preciously, yeah.
In fact, wait, after Christmas, there'll be quite a lot of
Yes, a lot of chicken.
from Western Kenya to Nairobi.
You get in a bus, you find quick. So that is part of our
Hallelujah's on this
culture.
bus.
That is part of our culture that we can never do away with. I don't know how it will in the future. But that is how we enjoyed Christmas. Christmas was, I really miss, there is no Christmas nowadays because sometimes I can stay in the house the way I am. I eat whatever is there. But those days I just valued what I will eat.
Surely, though, you have a son that will bring you to his house for Christmas.
That's
With a chicken.
that's like
A chicken.
A chicken.
Hey. Sawa. Well, that is wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing.
You as the Gen Z.
No, we're going to listen to Baba Mandevu.
Baba Mandevu.
Baba Mandevu.
My family, my small family, lived in the city, but my mother came from a family of 12
Kids, 12
Wow.
kids.
kids in their
Kids.
family.
That sounds very Kenyan.
Yes, yeah, Africa.
They all lived in the country.
From one parent.
They all were Ushago.
One
and she
mother, one
was
father.
Bournetown.
Yeah. And so I can remember piling the six of us in the front seat of my dad's pickup and traveling 30 miles into the country to go to Christmas at one of the uncle or aunt's house. When my grandfather passed away in 1973, I think, he had 127 descendants
Wow.
already. So
That's a lot of arrows in a quiver.
I have
Yeah.
I have 73 cousins and first cousins. So my family was like I find the similarity with everybody leaving Nairobi to go to their home
Yeah.
with their family. That was kind of a familiar concept
They're
to me.
similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Did you bring chickens?
no?
Ah, shoot. Okay, I thought we were
We
Luya.
did the potluck though.
But you did
Everybody
Yeah.
brought
yeah,
their
you
own
did potluck,
their
which is
own
almost
food.
similar.
Yeah, so which was so interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because when you talked about essentially it being in America, we call it potluck, where when you come to somebody's house, you bring food. So
Yes.
then you're all sharing the burden of feeding, right?
Yes.
I had not heard that was a thing here until this day.
And even in Luyaland, even funeral, when there was a funeral,
Same.
you who are bereaved, believe you don't cook. Neighbors will come with cooked food, different cooked foods, and then you just eat.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you guys would go, Ushago in America, when you go up country in America, what would you guys bring from the city?
Just some portion of food.
Whatever
Was it
your
more
mother
like a
made.
culture
Yeah,
that
whatever
you
my
used
mom
to
made.
Do every Christmas or every now and then.
I don't remember what my mom made, but there were a couple of my aunts that had the best chocolate chip cookies and German chocolate cake.
Ooh.
So, but there was always enough food to go around.
Because our family on your side is mostly German.
German and Irish, yes.
German, Irish. My mom's, yes, mostly German as well. Okay, so I'll go. Or do you want to go?
Go.
So it'll be interesting for you guys to hear the things that stick out for me, and just the same with Eric and his mom. So growing up, I remember we had this. My mom apparently thought those rules were mandated by God, so we were not allowed to get up before 7. Well, we were not allowed to go out until 7. And so we would walk down the hallway, like going across to the bathroom, like you can't look down and all that stuff. And we would go out, do the same thing. look at the stuff that was bought for us, that was brought for us from Santa. And we didn't have a fireplace, and so we would all get like a seat. So if you had a 7-seater, each kid would get one spot, right? And so we all got to see our stuff, and it was all exciting. And then we would go and we would help prepare breakfast. So one of the things that we would do is we would get grapefruit, and we would cut the grapefruit in half straight down the middle, right? So you open it up and you have all of the sections showing, and then we would take a knife,
A special
a
knife.
special knife,
Grapefruit knife.
and we would cut every one of those things out, leaving it in there. We would just cut so it was
Cut.
separated from the edges. For anybody listening, this is very weird even for Americans, okay? So don't think like, wow, Americans cut grapefruit. No, like this was unique to our family in my experience. Literally, we had grapefruit knives, weird curved knives that we would cut out each little section of these grapefruits, and then we would leave them. And then when it was time for breakfast, we would all sit down, and that was the first thing you ate. You got a spoon, and you ate the grapefruit with a spoon, each little thing. And it was very, very good. Like, it just made the grapefruit that much better because you were like longing for it as you're cutting it. And then we would get 2 things after that. You would get bacon, which we all know bacon is fantastic. And then we would get blintzes. You heard my mom say this. So blintzes is it's a dessert, actually, that my grandma got from a hotel in Minnesota. She said, "Oh, that was so good. Can I get the recipe?" And they gave it to her. And then we had that every Christmas morning. So you take Kenyans, you guys call them pancakes. Okay, they're just
yeah.
very skinny. We call them crepes, but you guys, they're pancakes. So you
Yeah,
take a pancake,
pancakes.
and then there's all sorts of mixture that you put inside that is like, it's so good. It's and I can't tell you what's inside of it, because if I tell you what's inside of it, you will think it's gross. I had a friend who was like loving it. He's like, "Oh, this is so good." And I told him what was inside. He's like, "I don't want any more." So it's just this awesome, like dairy-filled inside that then you take blueberries and you put blueberries over the top that have been cooked down. So and you can't get any on your clothing because it'll stain. All of this were conversations. So we just ate a ton of these things, and that was breakfast. And then as soon as breakfast was over, we would go and check out the gifts that we all gave to each other. We'd pull them out from underneath the tree. Okay, here's all the ones for Stephanie. Here's all the ones for Christopher, all of our siblings, Nicholas over here. And then we would open them one by one and thanking each other for the gifts that we had gotten. So, and then we would get done. We would never had very much time to play. Because when we were done with that, then we would go to a family member's house. It was usually, we would rotate. So sometimes it was at our house, and other times it was at one of my 2 uncles' houses on my mom's side that we would go to on Christmas. Christmas Eve, we would go to my dad's mom's house. And we would also, no, it wasn't Christmas Eve. It was Christmas Eve. It was after our open house.
No, when we quit doing the gathering on Christmas Eve at your dad's family, that's when we started doing the open
Okay. When
house.
that tradition kind of went away, then we did this big open house, like Christmas Eve. Literally, so an open house is a party that you come and go. So you come, you
About the
stay.
first one.
So I don't remember the first one. So you come and we had made all of these like small food things, and you'd come and you'd just be able to talk with. But if you have other places to go, you could just come for a half hour, 10 minutes or something, and then go. And it was like, there was no need to be released. In Kenya, you come to a party, you have to be released to go. No. When you came in, you were released to go. You were just happy to be seen,
You
to
could
be
go
there.
anytime.
Yeah. So that was kind of like the Christmas encapsulated for us growing up. I always remember our Christmas, and this was another thing, Christmas pageants. So our church would put on a play about the birth of Jesus that was kind of in a creative way, and we always had roles in it. So we would always have this big production. Big and production are both very loosely used terms, but it was a lot of work. We spent weeks memorizing lines, and we would then have this 2 or 3 shows maybe it was just one. I don't remember. I was a kid, and we put this thing on, and so like that is a huge part of Christmas that is kind of dead. It didn't exist for my parents. It doesn't exist for my kids. It was like just during our era that we had it, and it was so much fun. It was so much fun, and you'd go shopping for your brothers and sisters for gifts and whatnot. So that was the American Christmas in the Clinch household. So Eric, what about you?
For me, I think Mama said, Mama's talked about Christmas. We were looking forward to, I know like nowadays chapo is eaten every single day. But like there are those moments where we were looking forward to eating chapo, maybe some pilau, having just those good meals. And the most amazing thing was like gathering together with cousins, different relatives, and just like getting to know how everyone is doing, because that was one special moment where like everyone was coming back home. Like for us, everyone will come back at grandma's place. All the kids that were born by grandma, they could go and they could carry their children. Now mom could carry us, their sister and sibling could carry other cousins of ours. Then we'll converge in that particular place. We will have all these meals. We will learn to slaughter chicken. Maybe we did not invite someone to do those meals. We had turns, which was so amazing. Boys will do something and girls will do some things, so we'll share in those chores that were there. So nowadays, like, it's a bit different because nowadays, like, for us becoming a global village, I think we are mixed nowadays. Somehow we don't follow the traditional way that we used to do, but some people still practice those things.
Yeah, everyone that's stuck on Nairobi-Nakuru Highway.
Yeah, yeah. You could see, like, that's a really good observation. You could like realize, like, they normally say, if you're Luya and you're still in Nairobi at this particular time, then you are fake Luya. So I think Mom and Dad, we are fake Luyas. Because like every Luya is supposed to be in Western Kenya, like going to meet other relatives to eat some nyama choma, ugali, kuku, and all those things. So that was one of the most amazing memory that I had. The other amazing memory was more of the getting together with relatives. And like with my mom, since I'm the only child to my mom, and Eve is the only child to her mom. So nowadays we try to combine it and just have a moment. We just have an amazing breakfast where we buy some nice things.
What do you have for breakfast?
It's more of like an English kind of breakfast where we do sausages, we do bacon. Yeah.
What we used to do for breakfast was normally we cook mandazis overnight.
Yeah.
Mandazis, sambusas.
Yeah.
And then our tradition before we were introduced by Muzungu to this kind of
the English. Okay, the English.
By the English man from Western. So we used to do granuts.
Yeah.
Simsim. What is simsim in English?
I think it's simsim.
Simsim.
It's a special grain, right?
Yeah.
Grain.
Simsim.
That's an English name though.
And the groundnuts. Then we would fry them and put somewhere where somebody, like we are seated here, you are seated with a bowl with a spoon.
Okay.
And that was our tradition.
Yeah.
And then we were introduced to mandazi, so we could do the mandazis, sambusa, those who could afford.
Yeah.
We do it the whole night, and I remember as a little child watching my mother do it, and I could, after she cooks chapati, I wanted one left for me to practice, and that is how I knew how to cook chapatis from a very early age.
So that's the thing that used to happen. Like, and us, I think we will steal some chapati when they're preparing them.
Of course.
So that we can eat them later. So because that time chapati was a special cuisine in Africa. I think in Kenya specifically. And what else were we doing? And yeah, but for us, we were all going to our grandparents, literally. And if like probably at your father's place or at your mother's place, but we were all going there at the grandparents' place. Like for example, like when mom, she's still young, but when she's aging now, us will be coming at her place or Eve's mom's place. So that's now how we'll be celebrating Christmas. What else was? I don't know. I know those guys on the side, they'll agree with me. There was this. I think that time we really loved things from Japan. There's a trouser called Tokyo.
All the production team is like,
If you didn't have a Tokyo, then you didn't have a Christmas.
And Timberland.
Yeah.
Okay.
Timberland came in later.
Later.
Yeah, Timberland came in later. So, but Tokyo was one. It was the identity. Like, if you go outside, you'll think
It's
the entire
uniform.
country is wearing a
Kenya uniform.
Yeah, the entire country is wearing a uniform. So I think, I don't know, those guys in Japan, I think they made a lot of money from Kenya. And then, that was it. And like that time, you buy like mom will buy me the Tokyo. I'll keep it until Christmas Day. On the Christmas Day, I had to have a new clothes, new shoes. Like my entire outfit will be new. That will like now for the modern for those guys who are on the sides, they'll agree with this. That was Christmas, and that's why we normally call them Sunday best. Like you've had many Africans say Sunday best. Sunday best is like you
are best of the best.
You wear the best of your outfit in the wardrobe to come and just look good. I think it helps you. I don't know. For me, I think it helped me. It helps me listen to God properly.
So there's kind of something similar in the U.S. that would happen because when it's Christmas time, there are so many church events
Yes.
where you're going and there's a worship time, or you're going and there's a special service like a communion service, or there's a pageant like we talked about, or there's a Christmas Eve service, like there's so many that you have to dress up for all of them. So that was kind of part of ours as well, is that part of Christmas was that you had a type of clothes that you were wearing.
Yeah.
And there was the red, there was the greens, all of that stuff. But also in the U.S., there's a temperature change that happens. And so it goes from being hot
Too cold.
to freezing cold. When I say freezing, I'm not exaggerating. Like water is frozen all over the ground, like you're falling. And so you have this different outfit. So you have a lot of sweaters and long sleeve shirts like this, but all the way down. Turtlenecks, those type of things. Those were also, for me, those are also associated with Christmas because that's when you're coming from the hot time, summer and fall, where it's warmer, to it getting really, really cold. And so we had the same thing where we would be like, you're wearing a different kind of clothes, and when we would go to, and this is something I found, again, is unique to my family, maybe not exclusively, but when we would go to our family's house, you dressed up. Like you didn't go there in your sweats to hang out. Like you went there with khaki pants on and a shirt, maybe a sweater over that. Your hair is gelled, like all of that for the ladies here. Your hair you got to weave in or whatever. Like you do to the nines, and so that's maybe it's another commonality between us.
Like I think that's really common. And then there's one that I'm forgetting. We'll go and buy some balloons.
Yes.
Where the entire house will be decorated with balloons, and those graduation shining things will be put, because like we used to put some rags on the chairs. Parents used to put some rags on the chair. Now they'll get the best.
So that the kids won't get them dirty.
The kids
I was like, yes. As you got older, the rags didn't come out anymore.
And then at least for like them, when they're introducing us to Christmas, they had now started learning about the Christmas tree that we were having. I don't think they were selling Christmas tree. Like we had to cut the cypress.
That tree,
That
you
cypress
cut
tree will
and
be
decorate it.
Yeah. When you come in the house, you'll even just smell the cypress.
Yes.
Tree.
Yeah.
It's so fresh.
Then you decorate it so beautiful and it used to look so nice.
Yes,
and that's the artificial ones.
Bro, we've got to go.
put the
Next
lights.
Christmas, we've got to go do it. We've got to go find them because I love the smell of a Christmas tree.
Even whenever I used to go to up country, I
Yeah.
made sure I put it in my mother's house. I decorate with the lights.
Yes.
All kinds of beauty.
Yes.
With the balloons around.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that entire decoration was something that we were all looking up to.
When did you guys start breaking that? Like, I don't mean like what year. I mean like as Christmas approached, when would you start to consider, let's get a tree, let's get the balloons up?
Probably like that would be like almost almost like about 25 days to Christmas. It was way early.
Okay.
Yeah,
Almost a
early.
month. You just
Yeah.
want it to be a month of Christmas.
Yeah.
And then
sour.
that tree you have, because if you get it too early, it will dry fast.
Yeah.
So you had to get it like in between that time so that like it doesn't dry that fast.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, so and then like now later on now this when like those were the things that we were looking forward to before like the mix, because like nowadays there's quite a lot of mix, and nowadays we've got now the artificial trees that people look up to and
Get a real tree.
yeah, and literally I think Christmas was more of new clothes. Like for me, I was looking forward to a new clothes. And I was looking forward to the food. And I was looking forward to hanging out with uncles,
Yes.
Traveling.
cousin,
Me
traveling.
too.
Like it was a long, like those days now, it was like traveling from Nairobi to Western Kenya. It was an 8-hour journey.
Hey.
So imagine, and then you have this one rich uncle who has a car. They carry all of you in that car.
And you get back home
Then
in style.
Yeah, they take you back. When you're coming back, you come back with the chicken, with a sweet potato. You come back with all those things packed in the car. Like when you look at those cars, like they'll barely touch all the bumps while they're coming back.
Yeah.
So I think that was the good moments that we used to enjoy like during Christmas. But like later on now, since for them they were Christian now. There are things like now we could practice now things that are called Christmas carols during Christmas now, where like before just on Christmas Eve we could go sing. It was more like a competition. Yeah, we could sing, and then there was a gift at the end of it.
Yeah. For the
So where would
winners.
you go to sing?
In a church.
In church.
Like our local church. We could go and compete with other, like for example, if you're in Nairobi, we will divide it into estates. Like guys from Tigoni will come, like you'll compete with guys from Tigoni, you'll compete with guys from Karen, you'll compete
Would there ever be fist fights?
No, not fist fights, just singing.
Singing.
Just singing,
I
singing
know.
like the arc, the Merry Christmas, we wish the Merry Christmas. Like now with proper voices and acting, as you said.
Yeah.
We acted as well. Now the
Acting
best thing-
Jesus, a baby, Mary, Joseph.
So those are the things that we used to do. Like now, on this later stage, now we started now. The aspect of Christianity came deeper into our culture, and then now we started now practicing those Christmas carols, entertaining our parents literally, and the elder people in the village. And I think that was Christmas. I don't
Yeah,
think
so
I've forgotten anything.
That's
about
another
Christmas.
commonality then, because like we've both talked about it, but the family side of it, like it was always there.
Yeah.
There was some cousins, that was the only time I saw them,
Yeah.
was Christmas. And it wasn't even like it was far away or anything. It was just like that was when we got together.
Yeah.
You know, and we all said, okay, this time in our lives we'll come pamoja and get together. And so yeah, that's part of it. And then the Christmas carols, like there was sometimes we went with our churches and we would just literally walk the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't go to church, you'd just go to houses and you'd sing. You'd go to another
Yeah.
house, you'd sing another
sing.
song. And yeah, it was, I've even done that with my kids. I did it last year when we were back in the US. Just went to a random estate and we just walked, knocked on doors, people would open, we would sing a song. And then we would go. You don't take any food, nobody gives any money. It just, thank you. That was
They have a
beautiful.
culture that even she said like the random, like if I was in Tigoni, I would just come and knock at your door, and I'll just expect.
I don't need to announce I'll be
I don't need to
coming.
announce I'm coming. We'll just knock, like, because we belong to the village. Yeah, everyone prepared something for everyone during Christmas time.
I need to probably buy some more rice.
Yeah, so whatever, maybe there are those who didn't afford to have the chapatis and the rice, but when they come to my home, they find it, you give it to them. Yeah.
Of course. Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
That's just, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think one of my best Christmas memories, and this is kind of funny. We woke up, I've told you about how we did things, right? So we go out there and we do our stockings and we're like, this is awesome. And then it's like, okay, now it's time to make breakfast. So we all leave our stocking stuff, we put our stocking stuff away, and then we go and we're getting ready for breakfast. And our tree is here. We've done all of our gifts and stuff here, and we walk past the dining room table here, and we go into the kitchen. And it was probably 5 minutes before any of us kids noticed that there was a massive train set on the kitchen table. Huge! Like train, everything all set up. My dad had set up the night before, and it was like, and then when you realize that you're like, wow. There's this huge train, and then it's like, well, when are you going to eat breakfast? Now you have this giant train set to play with, and I don't even remember what we did, like we took it to another room, but it was just like, it was sitting in plain sight. This giant circular, I mean, not a big one, not like a big train set, but it was a long track with a very nice motorized train that would go around, and you'd plug it in, and then that became part of maybe Thanksgiving each year, where we would get that train set out and then set it up. But it was so funny how like in your house, how often you walk past your dining room table? I mean, it's there all the time. We just walked past this, probably the biggest gift we got as kids. We just walked past it and didn't even notice it. Oh, it was. But that one was like, it was a shocker that was sitting in front of us the whole time, the entire time. So what about you guys? Like your favorite Christmas memory?
Like me, my favorite is the first time because when we were moving to Uganda, a place called Tororo, where I started school, and the first time when we are now coming back for Christmas, that day I didn't sleep. The minute Mom said we'll be crossing to Kenya to meet the family. So that day I tried to sleep. I could not sleep. I was bought a new dress, and I was so excited. I just wanted the day to reach. I could wake up in the middle of the night and like, Mom, are we late? And she could like, no, just go back to sleep. I'll take
Stop waking me up.
Yeah. So I kept on disturbing her the whole night, and I could just sit in my bed, arranging my thing, the thing that I really want to go with. And I was so excited. I go there, I meet my cousins from Mombasa, from Nairobi. Those days we didn't have people abroad. So the people we had were from Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, Busia, and different villages.
You were abroad. You were coming from Uganda.
I was coming from Uganda. Yeah. I was coming from Uganda, so I was so happy. Even when my mom was passing at her younger sister's place, I was like, Mom, why are you even passing here? We just need to go back to Kenya. So when we reached there, we find so many people, and we were so many cousins. We used to interact, and I could see my grandfather, following us around. I didn't know those days because I just knew we are cousins. But I don't know our grandfather, how he felt. As long as these are girls, these are boys, you're not supposed to be together beyond 6. So he could follow us, and when he finds you with the boys and girls, you go to your place, you go to your place. So I didn't know. I was young. I was I think in class 4. I didn't know what he meant. But later on, as I was growing, I'm seeing it happen. It doesn't matter whether families, girls just need to be on their side, boys on their sides, because especially with this digital world, things have really changed and things have been messed. Yeah. Cousins don't know how they're related. They cross the boundaries. And now as I've been growing, maybe we'll reach there later, so I've been looking now Christmas in a new way of Christianity. And it is not about, now I can even relate to the songs we used to, Oh Happy Day, when Jesus Christ washed away my sins. Now, this I related to it, that this day is not about eating, is not about traveling, is not about competing in so many other ways, but it's all about Jesus Christ. It is all about the gospel. And like the ministry where I am, it is called Good News. We have this choir that is, it is the world-based choir. The Gracious Choir. Actually, when competition, it wins everywhere. So it is the world is best. They sing, they are Koreans, but they sing all tribes, all languages in the world. So right now they are in America, going around presenting Christmas cantata. They do all those things when it comes. Literally, if it is Jesus dying, they put everything until the blood comes out. How it comes, you won't know. So I really love it, because when I really look about how Christmas should be celebrating, then I see we were just doing it in the wrong way. But now the right way is when I'm a Christian, I'm born again. I relate how Jesus died it was born was born. The reason I relate it in the biblical way, like in Matthew 1:21, the reason Jesus was born. He was born, and unto you a son will be born. His name will be Jesus. He will save his people from their sins. And Emmanuel, his names are Emmanuel, God with us, and Jesus, our Savior. So when I look at these things, I don't relate to Jesus as a baby. Jesus, people, it depends on how you take Jesus to be. But Jesus as the Lord and Savior of my life, who gave me eternal life, then this is a day I should just meditate. How is my relationship with Jesus? How have I connected with Jesus? Now I look at it in a very good way, and I really appreciate being born again. And when I really look that Jesus came, died, was born to wash away my sins, and indeed he came. So I am righteous. He has made me righteous through his dying. And when he was dying, when he was saying it is finished, in John 19:30, when he was giving up the ghost and said it is finished, because it was me who was to die, but Jesus was born to save my sins. He came, yes, he died for my sins, and he's resurrected for my justification. So this is the very most important way of celebrating this season. This season is not about only eating, dressing, traveling, but it is all about the gospel. It is all about Jesus Christ.
There was a DVD or a movie I watched. A DVD is a movie on a disc. For all you Gen Zs out there who have no idea what I'm talking about. But there was this movie that my dad had me watch when I was younger I think it's called The Star of Bethlehem. And it's this American lawyer who had gone through and using like modern day astronomy, sorry, not astrology, astronomy charts, and the fact that you can buy this on an iPad and you essentially can go forward and see this is what the skies will look like in 5,000 years. But you can go backwards. And he was able to see this is what the Bethlehem star would have looked like, why somebody would have come from the east, because this is happening in this constellation, which was representative of Israel. And then it would have shifted to this other side, which would then have caused them to go south, just like the Bible is talking about. And he's looking at all of this stuff in the stars, right? But the crazy part about this is that when were the stars made? Thousands of years before the birth of Jesus. And so it's just like it points back to our God's heart that even at the creation, he knew about the fall, and he had a solution for the fall, which is him offering himself. Saying, you've messed it up. You've broken our relationship. You can't come back to me.
Yes.
Let me give myself.
Yes.
So that you can come back to me. And that one, that movie, it's a very academic kind of movie. It's not like a Christmas movie. But that one, it just brings it back that this is not an accident. God wasn't like, oops, okay, let's fix this. He's like, no. This is part of my plan. And I'm going to solve your problem through my own sacrifice. And that to me is where that pinnacle of Christmas comes. That it's like God wrapped himself in flesh, which is so crazy to think about.
Yes.
So many other religions are like, that's insane. That's crazy talk. That God would come down. And for what? For what? To rule over us? No, to come as a baby. This is the crazy part about the gospel. It's literally he spoke, everything came into existence, right?
Right.
Everything is created by him just speaking.
The word.
The word, Jesus, the word spoke, and this stuff came out. And he comes, rejected by society. No one has room for him. Go away from here. Completely rejected by society in that way. The powers are trying to kill him. So society rejects him. We don't have room for you. The king says, I want to kill you because you have this title of, king of the Jews. And then he's eventually killed. But that's his introduction. And where is he born?
In a manger.
In a manger, amongst the poorest. If Jesus does it, this is what I thought about this the other day. If Jesus wasn't born, we just have a lot of crap. Meaning, what's in the manger? It's just hay.
Yeah, true.
The animals are going to eat it, and they're going to dump it out. And so we have nothing worth anything without Jesus.
It's true.
And man, the heart of God in the plan that he executed at Christmas, that he initiated at Christmas, is so insane. That's why the Pharisees couldn't even see it. Like throughout all of Jesus' ministry, they're like, he can't be God. Like, come on. Like, God's not doing that. What he's doing is he's going to send a Messiah and conquer the world, right? Like, so yes, I so much agree that Christmas is, we've talked about all these kind of cultural sides of it.
Yeah.
But, here sits somebody from America, here sits somebody from Kenya.
Yeah.
And the same on this couch.
Yeah.
And we celebrate the same holiday because our Redeemer
Yes.
came back for all of us.
Yeah, true.
Yes.
Yeah, true.
Not just the rich in the Middle East, not just the poor in this.
Because when you have the relationship with, like now, as Mom has just said, when you have that relationship with Christ, now you understand the full meaning of Christmas. Because initially, it's just another day.
Yeah.
Another day with lots of gifts and chicken and goat.
All those things, like it's just another day.
Yeah.
God is a master planner. He did everything. He sees 100 years from today. That's why he knew even when he put Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, when he was telling him, don't eat this, don't do this, he knew they would eat. And he knew he would solve. He's the one who allowed the sin to come, but he would solve it. And you see, when they tried to make their own gowns, they just melted. They just dried up until he made his own to clothe them. The same way, when you go to Leviticus, where how sin was solved in the old days of Moses, there was that way where sin was, it had an animal had to die to solve. And then God saw how many animals until the end. And in case if you were to die, you have whenever you sensed sin in your heart, you had to take a goat.
Yeah.
Put your your sins there, because the gift of sin is death.
Yes.
The wages of sin is death.
So
you had to die. You had to die, but you could not die for yourself because you are a sinner. You had to take a blameless sheep. But are you blameless? You are a sinner. It is only Jesus who lived on this earth who was blameless.
Yeah.
That is why he's the only lamb that could carry all our sins. So many times people are stuck in Christianity. People are stuck between the law and grace. People have not differentiated what law is and what grace is. Many Christians mix it together. I can do something for myself. But when it comes to grace about Jesus Christ, he is the one who has done. We have done nothing. When I come to your house and you give me that gift, did I deserve it? No. We never deserved anything. That's why you find it like in Ephesians 2, 8 and 9, it says,
so that no
you
one
have
boast.
not, you should not boast. What should you boast of?
Yeah.
It is a gift from God.
Yes.
So, but then some people, what I really wonder as I continue growing spiritually, you find the people have born again, they are in church. Before they came to church, they were sinners. They are still in the church, they have confessed Christ. You ask them, are you a sinner? Yeah, in this world you have to be a sinner. There have to be a difference between Christians and the world people. So if you are born again and you still say, oh God, I come before I'm a sinner, then you make God a liar. Then it seems Jesus never came and he never died and he never resurrected.
Yeah.
So when any person who met Jesus in the Bible, their lives changed. There is no way I can go to church and still remain the same when I was out there. Those days you could kill a lamb, then you feel, my sins have been forgiven. So if you were to die that time before you get a lamb, then you died a sinner. But these days, we have been given Jesus, who is the ark. Those who were in the ark,
They were saved.
they were saved.
But
Those-
So, one thing that I just want us, I know if we continue with this line, we will, I know if I.
hey, Mama, she's preaching, brother.
Because I want to hear from Mama Taylor.
Yeah.
Mama Taylor again. About
Okay.
their memory of Christmas. Because we only have some few minutes before it goes
To the 6th hour.
before it goes to the 6th
Yeah,
hour.
yeah,
So like I want to hear them, and then Taylor at least a bit, because I know like what Mom is saying is really true, and it's amazing to be celebrating this time of Christmas for us as Christians, knowing that Christ died for our sins, and He came here for us. He loved us so much. So I think, yeah, I'll allow Mama Taylor to give us her Christmas memory that is special to you.
When we were married and we were in Illinois, where my husband was going to college, it was going to be our first Christmas away from family, and our oldest son, Christopher, was still at 6 months old, just a baby.
So this guy is a baby.
Not me. Not me. My older brother.
Yeah, all of them.
You know my name is Taylor, right?
And I was just heartbroken. I had never left really home when I was
She was
Younger.
the only daughter,
Wow.
so she was very, very special. And
With
parents
brothers.
loved her a lot.
You had brothers.
an older brother and a younger brother. And that Christmas, my parents flew in for Christmas to spend Christmas with us. Was just made my whole year.
Whole life, it's still her.
Yeah.
Even over having kids, she likes that one the best.
Wow.
Not
yeah,
at all,
that's
but
special.
it was so special that they would take the time and spend the money to fly from Rapid City to Chicago.
Just
And-
to be with you.
See, my parents are that much better because they have flown from Rapid City to Kenya.
Wow.
Wow. For Chris. Oh.
Yes.
Wow.
But anyway,
She's just doing what her mom did.
yeah. Anyway, that's one. Another one that's very memorable was when my mother had been diagnosed with cancer and not given long to live, and our kids came home for Christmas that year in 2006, and it was great. We had a somewhat open house Christmas and before Christmas, and then after Christmas, we were having dinner, not Christmas night, but 4 days later, and she just put her head down at the table and was gone.
Wow.
And
Surrounded by her grandkids and her kids and her husband all sitting there, she just said, "This is okay."
She slept.
Yes.
she just was passed away right then and there. And
Which seems crazy for everybody. Like, I don't tell this story to everybody and have anybody be like, "Oh, that's okay." Oh, everybody's weirded out, but it's like, but what my grandpa said right after, because my uncles were like, "Oh, what do we do?" Like, everybody's trying to do something, and my grandpa was just like, "No, stop. Like, that's beautiful. Like, she's not alone in her bed and scared. Like, she's surrounded by her family and everybody that she loves, and all of her kids had come and seen her. I think all but like one or two of her grandkids had been there. Her great grandkids were there. It's like, you can't wish for a better way to say goodbye. There's a joke. My grandma always made the pies for Christmas. She
Wow.
obviously wasn't feeling great, so my mom made the pies. She passed away in between dinner and the pies. And so my thought is, my mom's not very good at making pies. And my grandma said, "It's time to go."
Time to go. Wow.
So it's a very different Christmas memory,
Christmas,
but it still has its own level of specialness that, all of the,
Sad
like what we
and
talked
special.
about, all of our family was just there.
Like you came to say bye.
Yeah.
yes, everybody came to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Yep. And there was nothing left unsaid. There wasn't any animosity or anything else. We knew we would see her again, and it really was. And to me, it's not a bad thing that happened. That at my dining room table, she was sitting to my right, and she just put her head down on the table, and she had done that in the past, just like this. And she was gone. And my dad reached over and checked her pulse, and he says, "She's gone." And my husband came up and put his arms on her ribs each side and said, "Breathe, Mary, breathe." She took 2 breaths, and she was gone.
So another joke. It's that my dad didn't say to keep breathing.
Keep breathing, Mary.
Keep breathing.
Keep breathing, keep breathing.
2 more, that's good enough.
That was on the 29th of December, and on the 1st of January, it would have been my parents' 58th wedding anniversary.
Ooh.
So we had put something in the paper, knowing my mom was going to be passing soon. She was on hospice care at home. And then she died. So her anniversary announcement and her death announcement were in the same newspaper. And my dad said, well, I guess the thought of 58 years with me was a bit too much. So she checked out a few days early.
Oh,
And it's
what?
fine. You know, it was,
Fine.
it's true. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So there's some big memories. In our family, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
That even felt emotional and
Yeah.
serious. Wow.
I remember that time being there, and I was even talking. I actually called one of my friends. I called Matt. Said, "You want to come over for pie? My grandma just died." It was like, dude, you're weird. Like, I'm not coming over. Like, we're done, you know. But it, like, when my grandpa said that, because I was sitting with my cousin who's like pretty much my age, and we were at the kids' table, like, because that's how it works in the U.S. You have a big family gathering, right? The adults are there, and the kids are all over here, and I'm like, we're adults now, and we're still at a kids' table, and
And
you know,
that's where you wanted to be.
yeah, it's
So
true.
you could catch up with your cousins. And
It's true. And so we're sitting there, and it was just it's the epitome of that time, you know, like you talked about with family getting together. And so sharing that kind of, you know, sad, happy moment with my cousin and my sibling. It was just, yeah, it's one of those powerful moments. And when my grandpa said, "Oh no," and I remember the way he said it, he was like correcting everybody, almost like he was resetting what our thoughts of this time was. And to me, it stuck because I don't view it as weird anymore. Because he said, "No, it's beautiful," and he started listing why it was a good thing, you know. And it's like, okay, yeah, I can get that. And that's his wife, you know. And she, my goodness, that lady took care of him. Woo! My goodness, she took care of him. Like made fresh bread, like all
Every week.
And my grandpa was a particular guy, and she took care of him. And so for him to just kind of reflect that back and say no,
That's an amazing. Man.
yeah. And he I know he drastically changed how I viewed that event. You know, with those words and taking over that time. So yeah, it was
Okay.
it was powerful.
We left for Kenya on the 28th of November, and on the 27th we went up to see Patrick's sister, who was at the hospice house in Rapid City, and wasn't expected to live much longer. We prayed for her and prayed with her, and we left that night, and then the next morning we left to come here. And then our son picked us up at the airport at 10 o'clock at night on the 29th and shared with us that earlier that morning in Rapid City, she had passed away. So that's going to be
Sorry about
a tough
that.
time for
Mm.
my brother Luke. She was the baby of the family, and she had cancer, but he was able to ask her. He said, "Tracy, if this does not turn out with healing here, do you know where you're going?" And she said, "Well, yes, I'm going to be in heaven with Jesus," which just
Wonderful.
Yeah, I remember her. Yeah. That's another one of those situations where I was to call her daughter that day. I was supposed to call her on the 29th, Friday at 10 a.m. I was to call her.
Your auntie now.
I was supposed to call my cousin, who would be with my auntie at that time. And she had passed away, that morning before I could call her. So it's one of those things where it's like, but I got to see her when I was last in the U.S. and yeah. So and there's lots of people that I know that this season is marked by that. It's marked by sorrow. That is, you're no longer with the person that you wanted to be with. There's this someone who is so dear to you that has left, and that can be a big part of Christmas, where it's like, we get to all these families, but as you get older, it's like there's less cousins left.
Yeah.
There's less siblings left, and that can be a sadness unless we remember what we're talking about. The whole point of this baby being born that we celebrate is that he solved this problem, and he has brought our ability to come together with him and party in heaven and celebrate God's victory over evil. We all get to be together that way again, when we know Jesus.
And also that is why it is good to introduce all of our family members to Jesus.
Hey.
Oh,
Yeah.
That is the only assurance that you will meet again. Because in, is it 1 Corinthians 13:10, it says, nothing new is happening under the sun. What is happening has been happening and it will continue happening.
Yeah.
So when you comfort yourself with the word of God and you know that nothing happens without a reason, and all things happen for the good to those who love the Lord.
Who've been called according to his
And
will.
even when he said rejoice and rejoice always,
Yeah.
Yep.
he knew we would have such.
Yeah.
But in all those things, rejoice. What I just thank God, I felt the same thing when my mom passed away. And that time, we were not united in a family. We had disagreement. Sometimes I was buried to going. I had sworn to my mother, I will be with you to the last breath. And she nodded. That time she could not talk. But when it came to time that I could not visit her because of the family issues, she kept on asking for me, and I could not go. So when she died and I was not there, I also get emotional when I talk about it. But one thing, I just thought that I had lost hope. I just found my hope in Christ.
Right.
That is why whatever you go through, find hope in Christ.
That's right.
Yeah. When you have Christ, you face challenges in a different way
Yep. Yep.
because you know He is and He will be, because
That's right.
He is the life we live.
He is.
And nobody gets to the Father except through Him.
Exactly.
And when we comfort ourselves with the Word of God, we will face challenges. Are you facing it in Christ or out of Christ?
right.
That is what matters. We all go through so many things, because when you see different faces as we seated here, everybody has a story that is buried behind there. But how are you handling it? Are you handling it on your own? Or are you surrendering it to Jesus?
Yeah, I think
I'm loving this.
the older I get, the more I think of holidays and those type of things as they're always marked with a level of sorrow.
Yeah.
Because if you have good parents, if you had that great family upbringing, I think I've spent more Christmases away from my siblings than I have with them.
Yeah.
And I love my siblings. And so there's this like wonder and excitement and happiness at Christmas, but then there's like some of the people I love most aren't nearby. And as you get older, it's like they're far away.
Yes.
I'll be going to see them in heaven, and and so I think there are people who are like, well, I've never had blah blah blah, and so I have this really difficult story, and it's like all of us have these sorrows that Christmas is marked by, that every day is marked by. And to say that you are unique and thus you can't X, Y, Z, to me it's kind of silly. Silly is the wrong word. It's kind of shallow thinking,
Yeah.
because death comes for us all, and we have that hope after death. We have
Yes.
that assurance after death. But it doesn't mean that death. I think one of the things that I have the hardest time with is that death's sting is no longer there.
Yes.
And it's like, man, I still feel it. When my aunt passes away or whatever, like, no, maybe it's the depth of the sting. Maybe it's like, oh, I got stung by a bee as opposed to my leg got chopped off. They're different pains, they both, so maybe it's not that we don't have the chopping off, maybe the bee sting is there kind of thing, but it's there. Like I sometimes think like how having a great childhood that my parents provided, it brings a different kind of sorrow because you're not with your family.
Yeah.
I'm in Kenya. All of my siblings are together in the U.S.
US.
My parents normally would be there with them, but I got them this year.
Until they just had it to miss you and come to
and
see you.
so and so again, it's like the special thing my mom
so
talked about.
special.
But then there's also that sorrow. It's like, and then now having been in Kenya long enough, it's like God is. He just points us back to him being the only
Yes,
thing.
only
Because now
thing.
if I go back to the U.S. and I'm spending it with my siblings, I'm missing my Kenyan brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
You
So it's
Also made a
man.
family here. Yeah.
So it's just not you, Eric. You'll be with me, right? Yeah. So it's like there is this ability to let a shallow sorrow or a shallow is the wrong word. A sorrow to come in and to start to creep in and to take over. And I think that universally we all have to stand against that and say, no, there's this joy, there's this light, there are these blessings, there is this wonderful God that is there.
Yeah.
And no matter who you are, whether you had a terrible upbringing, whether you
Yeah.
beat all the time and maybe your parents cast you out and you lived on the
Yeah.
streets, or all of us have something that we have to say, I'm not
Yes.
letting that define or this time. I'm letting what the major truth is, which is Christ, I'm letting that define this time.
Yeah.
Amen.
And thus getting to celebrate. And I know I'm talking a lot, but there's one more.
Hey, you can
At
talk
our
and
church
talk.
service, they talked about the source of the carols and where the Christmas kind of carol service came from. And it came out of World War I. When these guys, if you do any sort of research on World War I, it was horrible. Because you had these old battle tactics combined with new technology. So you have this old battle tactic where you stand up and you run at the enemy, bayonets out, and now there's just one machine gun.
Yeah.
One guy killing these hundreds of guys running. And okay, now there's artillery. And now those explosions are going, and you get all these guys that are out of war, but they have PTSD, or what they called back then shell shock. So these loud music and this exciting stuff and this bang and that's not what was like ability for them to handle. And so they have these church services where it's these very calm carols that are sung. There's still great joy in them, saturated with what the truth of this time is, even for these guys who had gone through and seen some of the greatest depths of evil and the greatest minds of the age bending their thoughts and their designs towards destruction of other humans. They had been in the midst of that. And now they're coming back for Christmas, or now that this is their first Christmas after the war. How do you celebrate when you've seen all of that? How do you celebrate when an explosion vaporized one of your best friends? And it's again that saturation of, I'm not going to let this time be defined by evil. I'm going to be reminded of the good of God.
Amen.
That's
True.
So I've talked a lot.
And there's this story of Joseph. I love that story of Joseph in the Bible. How he was sold by his brothers.
Oh, yes.
He went, and he had a dream. And this dream, the brothers could not kill it. The parents could not kill it. And that's why I tell you that all things work for good. You may see it as the death of your sister is a bad thing, but there is something good in it.
that comes out of it.
It is not to bring you down, but to give you more strength. And even this man who sang the song, It Is Well With My Song.
That story. Endelea, dada. Mama, endelea.
Charles Spurgeon.
He had lost everything.
Yeah, true.
At least you have lost the sister, just to give you hope. In this life we have feelings, we have emotion, we are emotional being, and we have to feel the way I've met your parents. When I hear anything bad about it, I will feel it. They have become now part of me. The way God created us. But there are things that we can never control God. We have no control over them. This man had just given fare thee well to the family when they were leaving. He hears they have all sunk. And what did he comforted himself with that song?
And he wrote it
And he wrote it.
over the top of where they had died.
Yes.
On,
It is
on the ocean voyage.
With all these things, it is well with my soul. I always tell people, before I met Christ, I used to fear the future. But now that the word of God is grounded in my heart, I no longer fear death. When it comes, it will be the right time. Because this body, we eat perishable food. It must die.
Yes.
Yeah.
Milk, how long can milk stay when you put it there? Only few hours.
All the time.
Few hours.
Yeah.
And those are the things we eat. Nyama. Keka hapo, it
Hey,
brings
don't talk
madudu.
bad about nyama. at this
I love how this conversation is going indeed. Like,
I
and
wish we
that's
had
why
enough time.
we normally say this is unfiltered conversation. And I know, like what we've talked about, what you guys are talking about, many viewers out there, you're resonating with very many viewers who look at this moment and they're thinking, wow, this is what I'm feeling. And these are the conversations that we really love bringing about to people so that people can have this deep conversation that they could not just have. We trigger that conversation so that they can start talking with their family members. They can get at least intimate with one another. And I'm loving it. And I think as we're winding up this session of today, which was a special session, and I think probably we can just state what kind of gifts we think about on Christmas Day. What is the most amazing gift that you can either give to someone or you wish to be gifted as we wind up the session?
Of course, the first answer will be cuckoo. It's chicken.
Chicken.
Yeah.
No, it's just time.
Yeah.
Like being with people it's what we're even in the Garden of Eden where there's no sin at all. God said, it's not good for a guy to be alone.
Yeah.
That's not just,
Yes.
he needs someone to sleep with. Community.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you even have any chapo
Yeah.
or any cuckoo. Like you have people that you're with. And it's like,
Yes,
That
yes.
chapel you cannot enjoy.
yeah, that
You
chapo
can't,
will
yeah.
fall away. The moth will destroy. I'm going to invest in what is eternal.
For me, like I normally think the special moment, Mom, is just being with you guys, being with Mom, my wife, my daughter now, my mother-in-law, and that's why you see most of the time even I try as much as possible. We've done it twice with Mom. I try as much as possible for all of us to be together, because those are the people that matter.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah.
And many times it takes something like the
You do
passing.
matter. You do matter.
Go ahead, Mom. Sorry.
It's okay. Many times it takes the passing of someone for you to realize how important your family is.
True, true,
Yes.
true.
And can draw you together and closer.
Yeah.
And this Christmas is just being here, not only with our family, but now with our Kenyan family.
Yes.
It's just, it's just wonderful to be
Thank you for visiting
to be
us.
here.
Now you're obligated to return for weddings, for birthdays, for baby births.
Yes.
So you don't understand what cultural things you've inherited now, and you have to come with chicken.
Yes.
Now I know.
No, she will bring what she brings from there. We'll give her.
Hey, so, okay,
Give
so,
her chicken.
Make sure there's enough money where like now they'll have to put one chicken all the way to America.
But since in the plane you can't carry the live one, we will change it and smoke it
hey,
for you.
chicken jerky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Dad, as we were kids, and because he had my dad had 5 kids, as we had all of us growing up. Out of all of the memories and different times and the sadness of, Christopher being gone first, then Stephanie, and then Nicholas being gone, and then us being gone for Christmases, what was the best one that if you looked back and you were like, all of these Christmases, actually your best Christmas, maybe it's like Mom's where it says nothing to do with us kids. Like what was you're like, that's the one that it was the most enjoyable.
just having someone open a gift and be excited about what you've given them. I grew up riding a bicycle a lot. And one Christmas, our oldest son purchased a bicycle from a School of Mines student for me for Christmas. And he told me afterwards that when this student had figured out that he was buying a bicycle for his father, he didn't even charge him for it. And so that bicycle was always very special to me.
Wow.
Yeah, when we were kids, that was something that you guys got for us early on was bikes. And looking now at having kids, it's like, that's not cheap. That's not cheap. And my dad they would always, and we would ride the town. Literally, like we would ride like 15 miles. It's like 32 kilometers. We could just ride around town, like going to the fish hatchery. Like, oh, that was a fun trip. And so we'd pack a lunch and drive ride all the way across town. And so that was a kind of cultural inheritance that my dad gave us, and I remember him riding that bike on one of those trips as well. That you just ride, and getting to share those times as siblings. Yeah, it was.
That bicycle thing is all over the world. People really valued it less like you cook chicken. Because I remember Eric, I promised when he was young, I will buy you a bicycle, which I never kept the promise. And he keeps on reminding me, Mom,
as Christmas is marked by sorrow.
Mom, even recently when we went out with the wife and the baby, he was saying, Mom, you never bought me a bicycle. Yeah. I said, now forget about that. I should be thinking on how to buy for Eden a bicycle.
There you go.
So
I'll make sure she buys it.
Now you see, even yesterday I was just convinced. I was thinking about, I didn't tell you, when I was buying that baby walker. Yeah. I said it is similar to the bicycle. And he still was showing me, Mom, that bicycle for Eden. So this bicycle thing, it has been all over.
Mama, I have an idea for you. You never said I'm going to buy the bicycle for you to ride. I'm going to buy a bicycle for you. So you're still getting him a bicycle. It just happens to be for his daughter.
Yes.
So you'll satisfy all of
You
them.
have saved me. You have saved me, Taylor.
For me, like, I think.
And like him, most of the time I never grew up with him.
Yeah.
He grew up with a dad, part of his growing up, but he could come to visit me.
Yeah.
So every time Christmas address, Christmas, he runs to me. He wants to get my Christmas dress and his daddy's Christmas dress.
Yeah. So you can see how that is special with me, with Mom now. Because like most of the time I did not get to celebrate Christmas with her. And now I'm in that particular place where I'm celebrating Christmas with her, my wife, my daughter.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's also, that's amazing. That's beautiful. Oh.
And also when you said about which gift you'd want to give someone. Me, according to me, if I sum up, the most precious gift is being there with your loved ones.
Yes. Pamoja.
Even when you are just eating
nothing.
Ugali na siturungi, that is all. And there are two things. The best investment is investing in people. The best gift, be with your people. Cherish them, because when they are gone is when now you want to cherish a picture. Why don't you cherish them when they are still there?
Yes.
And then it'll make them come back more. Yeah.
To our viewers.
Wait. Mama yangu.
Mama yako.
It's family. It's family, whether it's blood family or family by choice.
Oh, we have a lot of those in my family.
Yep, we do.
Yeah. So just that time. Okay, I think we all had the same answer. Except Eric, you said chicken, right?
It's about Jesus and family.
Yes.
Jesus and family.
Yeah, right.
Mom preached and I know she preached, and she said that's when you get to know Christ, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But like now Christ talks about us having unity with one another. You see, like we are not in a highland where we are alone. We are with people, and that's the most important thing for us. So for you viewers who are celebrating this Christmas, just get to know, I don't think family can be replaced. And family is not only that person that you're born with or born from the same parents. It's also those people that come into our lives. And there are many people that have come into your lives, and they've gone through. I see Taylor with quite a lot of people. Those are family, and all those people are special. And those moments, like as you've heard from everyone, they're very treasurable moments. And don't wait until that person is gone away to remember that person on a picture. Cherish that person while you can at this particular time.
You know, we're all sitting here. We're sitting here and we're married.
Yeah.
We chose that person as family.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter. You can choose a brother to be a brother.
Yeah.
You can choose a sister to be a sister, and welcome them in the same.
Yeah.
Because, hey, I've worked with hundreds of people who have been in the throes of addiction or abuse or trauma in their life. And just like the Bible talks about, like the solution is people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And coming into that relationship and seeing that God has provided people to replace the people that weren't there, or replace the people that were bad.
Yeah.
And so that in this Christmas time, they say, my family, we don't like me or whatever. Like the choices are still there for you to have family and to have those traditions that you start and those things that you do, apart from what may have happened to you or even by you. Sometimes what you do causes that separation.
Yes.
And that hope is not lost. That hope is still there because Christ has established his church, and his church is the body of Christ. We are family.
Amen.
And one last thing is, in the story of Joseph in the Old Testament, it's really important to remember on that entire journey that Joseph didn't know the end of the story.
Yes.
So as we go through these difficult times and these crappy things happen, and we have these holidays that are surrounded and wrapped in sorrow that hurt in the time that we feel like everybody else is happy, but I'm hurting. We don't know the end of the story.
True.
How God is going to use that, and how God is going to shape that, and how God is going to bring that about for the good. And it's important that we continue to trust him, just as Joseph did throughout all of that. It would have been easy for him, even in the pit, the very first thing that happened, or even before the pit. My brothers hate me, and now my father doesn't like me. Forget you, God. But you know that literally Joseph's trust in God throughout that was celebrated throughout all of Israel's history, even today. One of the most sacred times for Jews is the Passover.
Yeah.
When they were leaving Egypt, which is where Joseph went, and then brought his family to be a shelter. He didn't know that when his father was saying, no, you're not going to be a lord over me. And his brothers were throwing him in a pit to be sold into slavery. But even to this day, his trust in God affects the whole group of people that followed.
Yes.
And so just take that during this time when it's sorrowful, in the midst of the joy of Christmas, that we just continue to trust God, even when it looks like, I have no hope.
There's hope.
There's plenty of stories, plenty of examples. So as often happens on our podcast, we get cut short in a conversation, in a time where we could talk, and this is Eric's fault this time, where we could talk for so much longer.
Yeah.
And we would love to engage you guys in conversation as well. We may be doing a live chat when this is happening to talk with you. We'll see. But even if it's not there, just understand we'd love to hear from you. What you hated about the podcast, what you loved about it, what you want to hear more about. And there's one really important thing that I want to talk to you guys about, and that's, we've had a lot of help putting this podcast together. This is not just me whipping out my phone and setting it on a tripod and we sitting down. You see, we have cool stuff. The cameras are going well. The lighting is good. I mean, if you guys could see the setup, Film Space is an awesome company here in Nairobi that is really hoping and really helping and really pushing for good content to be put out. And they've been a huge sponsor and huge supporter throughout all of season 1. As you can see, I have a beard. The episode last week, I didn't have much of a beard. No, this is not a clip-on beard. Okay? So we shot these. They've all been edited. They've all been put out and everything done on them via Film Space. And so this is an awesome company that you guys need to look into and just really support in all of the stuff that's going on. We're looking to continue the podcast into season 2. We're in the middle of season 1 right now. Season 2 is going to be completely different. It's not just going to be me and Eric sitting and talking to each other. It's always going to be a panel.
Yes.
So this is the new format where we get to have awesome other people on here that we get to learn about, that we get to ask questions, that we get to hear history from. We get to hear experiences in the way that God has worked in their life and bringing all of that into this unfiltered conversation. To do that well, we do need funds. It's an ugly and sad part about this kind of thing that happens. But if you'd love to give to that, we can put up information on how to do that in the links and stuff below. We'd love to have your support as we continue these unfiltered conversations, intergenerational, not only with our families, but it's going to be expanded to other groups. And so we'd love to include you in that conversation and continue that. But if you can consider it during this time to give towards that, we'd very much appreciate it.
We want to thank our parents for just joining. Thanks, Mama
Thank
Mandevu,
you for the invitation.
Baba Mandevu, and Mama Eriko.
Pleasure.
To our viewers, please don't forget to subscribe.
Now hold on a
and
second.
like.
My wife is called Mama Mandevu. So we've got to think of a different one for my mom.
Oh, Mama
Yeah.
They
Mandevu.
can't be both the bearded woman.
Only Baba Mandevu. But
Your wife cannot be Mama Mandevu. Your wife
That is what
needs-
Kenyans call
Your
her.
wife needs to be Mke or Bibi Mandevu.
Mrs. Mandevu.
Okay, so I need to hire you to stand by me and correct Kenyans
I need to
on what
correct
they're calling Bonnie. Okay, Sawa. Mama Mandevu.
Mama will always
Mama
be one.
Beard mother.
Yes. And Baba
Mandevu.
Sawa.
And Mama Eriko Suramzuri.
Yeah. Mama Sura Mzuri.
Amen.
Yeah. So please subscribe and like. Thank you very much. See you.
There's this-
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you guys. That was amazing. That was amazing.